Well, now we're going to look at golden retrievers. We've looked at lions and otters, and now if the G column was your highest column, you're a golden retriever. If it's your second highest, that's your subdominant trait, so that's very important to know. And at the same time, if you're not a golden retriever, or even close, me, then it's really important that you hear this so you can understand golden retrievers. Like I say, lions are normally drawn to golden retrievers, and for some reason, which I can't explain, golden retrievers are typically drawn to lions. And so this is really important. So let's start out. Let me just say the first word to use for a golden retriever above all other words is loyal. They are incredibly loyal. I remember my partner, my business partner in Philadelphia. He had golden retrievers. And it always amazed me if he yelled at them or smacked them or basically said, get out of here because they did something wrong. It's like 2 minutes later, they're wagging their tail and they want to come and get more loving from that same person. Golden retrievers are loyal. They're relational. And I'll read you this little bit on them. One word describes these people, loyal. They're so loyal, in fact, they can absorb the most emotional pain and punishment in a relationship and still stay committed. They're unbelievable that way. They are great listeners. Finally, we find somebody that listens. Incredibly empathetic. Now, what's the difference between empathetic, sympathetic, and compassionate? An empath is like a sponge. They not only understand your hurts, that when you're explaining their hurts or when they see your hurts, they actually take it on themselves. So if you're going through an emotional hurt and you're relating to a golden retriever in any way, they truly feel your pain. They don't just say it, they feel it. In fact, it can wipe them out. Your pain can wipe them out. They can hurt for you. They may lose sleep over your hurting. So empathy it's just amazing when you find a golden retriever because they are so empathetic to you. They're compassionate, and compassionate means that they not only understand your hurts, but they want to relieve those hurts. It's not that they're problem solvers, but they really do relate to you. In fact, they can be quiet and just give you a hug, and they're fine with that. Sensitive to the feelings of others. They're really in tune with the feelings of other people. They're tremendously loyal. They put people above projects. They will always put people above projects. So you can see how they're kind of absolute 180-degree contrary to lions. Dependable. When they're going to get something done, they will get it done. May take a little time, but they will get it done. If you say, hey, I need help, or I need this, or I need that, they will really work to make sure that need is met. Reliable. You can rely on them. You don't ever have to worry about that. Supportive and agreeable. Now, they tend not to, in fact, we'll get into the weaknesses because I just started to go into weakness without realizing. Natural weaknesses. Here's one that's really true. They're over-accommodating. They put up with more crud that people throw their way, and they'll continue to put up with it, even though it hurts, and not say anything. Because usually they think, oh, it's my problem. They really didn't mean to hurt me. That's okay, I can handle it. And they'll go on and on. In fact, Gary pointed out, Smalley said, that a golden retriever can store up hurts for 3 to 5 years. So the same person can hurt them in the same way. I'm not talking physical abuse. I'm just talking hurting their feelings. They can do that for 3 to 5 years, and the golden retriever just takes it. But finally, because they've been absorbing it and not saying anything, they finally explode. And when they explode, what happens? They close their spirit to you. So they explode. They've been storing this pain for years, and they finally have had enough. They explode, and then they close off their spirit. You can't get close to them. It's like, you've been hurting me this way for so long, I'm not going to let you near my heart. And they close their spirit. And we'll learn later on in one of our strategies that relates to relationships, how you can open a person's spirit. But man, they can shut down as tight as a clam. In fact, that's an expression one of them has shared with me, is that they closed their shell. They retreated into their shell and they just closed themselves off. And you can misinterpret that in many ways. You can think it means that they don't like you anymore, they don't love you anymore, they don't want the relationship anymore. In reality, you've just hurt them so bad they've closed their spirit. They're afraid to let you near their heart because they think you're going to hurt them again and again and again. But there are things you can do that can help them open up and forgive you and relate to you in a good way. Okay, so one of their problems is, one of their weaknesses is they over-accommodate. And there are times when they really need to stand up for themselves, and they don't. It's not in their nature. They can learn the behavior. They can, quote, find their voice. They can learn to take a stand, but it's not natural. And remember, when we talk about strengths and weaknesses, we're talking about natural strengths, natural weaknesses, inclinations, first reactions. And but all of that can be moderated with learned behavior. As you can see, one of the things I've had to do is learn how to listen. And I still struggle with it. I know what to do to listen in a way to honor people, but it doesn't come naturally. I always have to make that choice. Okay, the golden retriever may sacrifice results for the sake of harmony. People will see a golden retriever and they'll say, why does she put up with the things her husband does? Or did you see the way that child talked to her and she didn't do anything? How? Why? Well, it's in her nature. She's not reactive. She wants to please. I have a couple sons that are high on golden retriever. One is a solid high golden retriever. He was my firstborn son. And my firstborn daughter was a lion, and it was a challenge. And I know politically correctness now, but this is back then. She was constantly challenging, and she was constantly getting spankings. The daily bet was how many spankings before breakfast. And then my second child is born. He's a golden retriever. He doesn't even need to be spanked. All I would have to say is, Mark. And the lips would start to quiver, not because he was afraid he was going to get punished and tears would fill his eyes, but because he had disappointed Dad. They're people pleasers. They really want people to be happy around them. Can you understand why they make such great friends? I mean, oh my gosh. Everybody loves golden retrievers. They're slow to initiate. Why? Because they really are sensitive to the other person's wants and desires. My son, Mark, the golden retriever, married another golden retriever. And they live in Philadelphia. And one time I was visiting on a trip and I was taking them out to dinner. And I made the mistake of saying, where do you guys want to go? What are you up for? Here was the conversation, Mark to Karen. I don't care. Karen, what do you want to do? I don't care, Mark. What do you want to do? No. Come on. What are you up for? No, what are you up for? And it's back and forth because they just want to please each other. And finally, it's, Dad, what do you want to eat? You know? And Philadelphia, best Italian food in America. I know there are people in Chicago and New York that would disagree with it, but truly, the best Italian food in the United States is in Philadelphia. So what does Dad want to do, the lion? Man, let's go get the Italian. Okay, so slow to initiate. They avoid confrontation even when it's needed. It's hard for a golden retriever to hurt other people's feelings. So that if you're a golden retriever and you're in a work environment, you may have as a peer a lion. And that lion is always running over you. totally insensitive to your feelings, and you just put up with it because the lion's always initiating, and you're always deferring. So you need to learn the behavior to speak up for yourself. When somebody hurts you, you've got to let them know. Because most of the time when we hurt people, we don't intend to hurt them. It just happens. And there's not real intention behind it. So golden retrievers, please tell us when we hurt you. Tell us when you're hurting. If somebody else hurts you, we want to help you, especially a lion. What does a lion want to do? He wants to solve your problem. Another golden retriever wants to empathize with you. An otter says, hey, let's go out and have some fun. Okay? So it's really important that you begin to share what's really going on inside your heart. They tend to hold grudges and remember hurts. Because they absorb them, unintentionally, a grudge starts to build. In fact, we're warned in the Bible to solve our differences, not let the sun go down on our anger. And that's really good advice for a golden retriever. When you're hurting, you've got to let the person know. Because if you don't, what happens is those hurts begin to create bitterness, anger, and resentment. And it's hard to be in a good relationship when those are the qualities that ultimately take control. And they will take control of a golden retriever sooner or later if you don't voice the hurt. And never worry about offending people, because golden retrievers are so tender in the way they share their hurts. Whoever you share, they're not going to jump back on you. They're going to all of a sudden feel bad, maybe embarrassed, but feel bad, and they're going to want to solve the relational problem if they know that they've hurt you. Finally, a golden retriever fears change. They want to stay in the same job. Their comfort area that they've built around themselves, they just don't want to change it. Same house, same neighborhood. Change threatens them. So typically, not always, but typically they fear change, and they want to just stay in their comfort zones. Now, let's look at some of these other things. Basic disposition. They're slower paced and they're people oriented. So they take their time. Why? Because when you rush things, that can hurt a relationship, and they're so relational. So let's look at some of these other things. Their basic disposition is they're slow paced and people oriented. Motivated. They're motivated by a desire for good relationships and appreciation of others. They show appreciation. You never have to coach them to be nice. And they love being appreciated. But they desire that good relationship. Relationships are far more important to them. And the feelings of other people are more important to them than a project, even than their own feelings. Time management. They focus on the present. And they devote lots of time to helping others and building relationships. So that's really their focus, even in time management. Communication style, they are great two-way communicators. When we get into the strategy of effective and persuasive communication, you're going to learn that the first step in being a good communicator is learning how to actively listen. For a golden retriever, it's natural. They're going to say, gee, what's so special about that? I do that all the time. For the other three personality types, it's not natural, but it is natural for a golden retriever. They're great listeners, and they provide good responses. They're very empathetic, and they're responsive to others' communication. Decision making. They do take more time to make decisions. They make decisions more slowly. They want the input of others. Not so they can know it all, but so that they don't do anything that hurts the other person or is offensive in any way. They do not want to offend people. They often yield to that input. So they want lots of input from other people, and they go ahead and yield to that input. Even if they feel that something else would be better, they tend to yield to the input of others for the sake of relationships. In pressure situations, it says that golden retrievers give in to the opinions, ideas, and wishes of others. and they're often too tolerant. So unlike the otter that's very reactive in a tense situation, or the lion which wants to take control in a tense situation, the golden retriever wants to defer. Their greatest needs, golden retrievers need security. If there's going to be change, they want it to be gradual, and they want time to adjust to change. They want an environment free of conflict. Golden retrievers, more than any other personality type, hate conflict. So they'll do everything to avoid it. Never ask a golden retriever to fire somebody at work. They can't do it. It would destroy them. In fact, one of my favorite sports movies is Moneyball. And the Jonah Hill character, he is hilarious in it. And I remember Brad Pitt's character tells him, you're going to have to fire that person. And he goes, I can't do that. No, you're going to do that. No, I can't do that. And the Brad Pitt character doesn't understand that Jonah Hill has an awful lot of golden retriever in him. So the thought of being unkind to anybody is just foreign, and he can't do it. He ends up doing it. He chooses to do it so he doesn't get fired. He wants to please Brad Pitt. He's a people pleaser. So he goes ahead and he learns how to fire people, but it kills him to have to do it. Golden retrievers, man, they're everybody's best friend. Every golden retriever I know, as a person on a 1 to 10, I'd have to rate them a 10 because they are so sweet, so loving, so kind. They are truly amazing. I was doing a master strategy seminar in Australia, and I got to the time where we were talking about personalities, about 200 people. They all took the personality test. And I always have them stand up, all the ones that are L's stand up. And then I tell them they're lions, and O is otter. We get to golden retrievers, tell that. And a man stands up, and he is the husband of one of my dearest friends in Australia. Her name is Phoebe, if you want to know. And her husband's name is Tony. And Tony stands up. And Phoebe is a very, very strong lion. I'd say if I had to guess, she's probably at least 30, 36 or higher. And so the golden retrievers stand up, and I say, okay, if you're under 30, sit down. So a bunch sit down. If you're under 34, sit down. If you're under 36, sit down. And this dear man, Tony, is still standing up. And I said, Tony, what are you? Because I don't see very many men that are that high on golden retriever. And he said a 40. He's the only 40 male I have ever known, 40 golden retriever. And I looked at Phoebe in the audience and I said, wow, you got to hold on to him, Phoebe, because you will never find another one of those because they're that rare in men. And but he was, and he is truly a 10. And that's one thing that I love about golden retrievers is they are not only everybody's best friend, but they are incredibly loyal, as we've talked about. But now, in our next video, we're going to look at the B. If B was your column, you're going to be excited to hear about yourself. And equally important, other people will finally understand you. So it's important if you're married that your spouse watch this, and because it brings tremendous understanding. And I will tell you, without the B people, we would have no buildings that stood up straight, bridges would be collapsing, and nobody would want to have surgery. So let's look at the next one when you're ready.